Imagine buying a cup of coffee, getting a few coins back in change, and one of those tiny pennies turning out to be worth more than a luxury mansion. Sounds impossible, right? But what if I told you that a simple-looking 2005 penny could potentially be worth as much as $1.1 million to the right collector? Yes, you heard that right. A single penny. The kind most people toss into a jar, drop on the floor, or ignore completely. That small copper-colored coin featuring the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln might actually be a hidden treasure sitting quietly in someone's pocket change. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. We will explore why collectors are so interested in it, what makes certain versions incredibly valuable, and how you might be able to spot one yourself. And along the way I will share a funny personal story about the time I almost spent what could have been a valuable coin on a vending machine snack.so. Before you toss your pennies into a jar or leave them in your car cup holder, you may want to listen closely. Because by the end of this video, you might start looking at every penny a little differently. The 2005 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. That makes it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The front of the coin shows the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. If you flip the coin over, you will see the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, a design that was used from 1959 until 2008. Some 2005 pennies were struck without a mint mark. When collectors say no mint mark, they mean there is no small letter under the year on the coin. In most modern coins, that small letter tells you where the coin was made. D means Denver means San Francisco, and when there is no mint mark, the coin was made in Philadelphia. So the 2005 no mint mark Lincoln penny was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Millions of these coins were made, which means most of them are only worth 1 cent today. But as with many coins, a few rare examples stand out because of unique features, minting errors, or exceptional condition. You see, the world of coin collecting is a lot like treasure hunting. Most of the time you find ordinary stuff, but every now and then you discover something special, and sometimes that special find can change someone's life. Now let's talk about why a 2005 penny could ever be worth huge money. In coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins that look brand new are far more valuable than coins that have been circulating in pockets for years. Collectors use a grading scale that goes from poor condition all the way up to mint state 70. Which means the coin is practically perfect. A 2005 Lincoln penny that has been perfectly preserved, with sharp details, shiny surfaces, and no visible wear, can be extremely desirable to collectors. But condition alone usually does not make a penny worth hundreds of thousands or millions. What really excites collectors are mint errors. A mint error happens when something goes wrong during the coin production process. Coins are made by large machines that strike metal blanks with engraved dies. These machines operate incredibly fast, producing thousands of coins every minute. Occasionally something goes wrong, and that mistake creates a rare collectible. Some possible errors collectors look for include doubled dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and even coins struck on the wrong metal. Let's talk about doubled dies for a moment, because this is one of the most famous coin errors. A double die occurs when the design is accidentally stamped twice at slightly different angles. This causes certain parts of the design to appear doubled. On Lincoln pennies, doubling can sometimes be seen on the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." When collectors discover a strong doubled die on a modern coin, the value can jump dramatically. Another interesting error is the off-center strike. This happens when the metal blank is not properly aligned when it gets struck by the die. As a result, part of the design may be missing and the coin looks slightly shifted. These types of errors make coins unique, and collectors love unique things. Now imagine a high-grade 2005 Lincoln penny with a dramatic mint error. Suddenly what looks like an ordinary coin becomes a rare collectible that serious collectors want to own. And when collectors compete for rare coins, prices can skyrocket. Now let me share a personal story that completely changed the way I look at coins. A few years ago I had this old glass jar on my kitchen counter. It was one of those jars where I threw all my loose change at the end of the day. Pennies, nickels, dimes, everything just went into that jar without a second thought. One weekend I decided to roll the coins and take them to the bank. While I was sorting through them, I noticed a penny that looked unusually shiny compared to the others. At first I almost ignored it. I mean, it was just a penny. But curiosity got the better of me, so I grabbed a small magnifying glass and took a closer look. The coin had sharp details, almost no scratches, and it looked like it had barely circulated. For a moment my imagination went wild. What if this was one of those rare coins collectors talk about? What if this little penny was actually worth thousands of dollars? I remember laughing to myself and thinking how crazy that idea sounded. But that moment sparked something interesting. I started paying closer attention to coins. I started learning about mint marks, era coins, and grading. And suddenly, something as ordinary as pocket change became a fascinating treasure hunt. Now I checked my coins all the time. And honestly, that small habit has made everyday life a lot more fun. Because you never know what you might find. Back to the 2005 no mint mark Lincoln penny. If you want to check your own coins, here are a few things you should look for. First, check the date carefully. Make sure it says 2005 and that there is no mint mark under the year. Second, examine the coin's condition. Is it shiny? Are the details sharp? Does it look almost brand new? Coins that have very little wear are always more attractive to collectors. Third, look closely for unusual features. Inspect the edges and the design. If something looks unusual, like doubling or misalignment, you might have found something interesting. Another thing collectors sometimes look for in modern pennies is a special finish or strike quality. Some coins are struck particularly well, with incredibly sharp details. These high-quality coins can sometimes receive extremely high grades from professional grading companies, and those grades can significantly increase the coin's value. Professional grading services examine coins under powerful microscopes, verify authenticity, and assign an official grade. Once a coin is graded and sealed in a protective holder, collectors feel more confident buying it. Now imagine a nearly perfect 2005 Lincoln penny with an unusual mint error. That combination can make a coin incredibly desirable. In rare situations, collectors have paid astonishing amounts for unique coins. While most 2005 pennies are worth only 1 cent, a rare example with exceptional qualities could attract serious attention in the coin collecting world. And that possibility is what makes coin hunting so exciting. Millions of people handle coins every day, but only a small number actually look at them closely. That means rare coins can stay hidden for years. Sometimes they are hiding in old collections passed down through families. And occasionally, someone discovers one completely by accident. There have been stories of people finding valuable coins in couch cushions, parking lots, and even old piggy banks. That is why many collectors say the greatest treasure hunt in the world is happening right now in everyday pocket change. Another interesting thing about the 2005 Lincoln penny is its place in history. It represents a time just a few years before the Lincoln cent design changed in 2009 for the bicentennial celebration of Abraham Lincoln's birth. After 2008, the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse design was replaced with new designs showing different stages of Lincoln's life. So the 2005 penny is part of the final era of the classic Lincoln Memorial design. For collectors who enjoy complete sets of Lincoln cents, coins from this period are still important pieces of the series. And as time passes, well-preserved examples become harder to find. Coins that were once common slowly disappear from circulation. They get damaged, lost, or melted, and the remaining high-quality examples become more desirable. That is one of the fascinating things about coin collecting. Time slowly turns ordinary objects into historical artifacts. A penny from 2005 might not seem old today, but decades from now, collectors may see it very differently. You are standing in line at a grocery store. The cashier hands you a few coins as change. You toss them into your pocket without thinking. Later that night you empty your pockets on the kitchen table and among those coins sits a simple penny. But what if I told you that one tiny penny from 1992 could be worth up to $1.2 million? The kind people leave and take up penny trays or drop in parking lots. And the crazy part is that some of these coins may still be hiding in circulation today. In this video we are diving deep into the mysterious and incredibly valuable 1992 Lincoln penny. We will explore what makes this coin so rare, why collectors are willing to pay life-changing money for it, how to identify one, and why the smallest details on a coin can turn pocket change into a fortune. So before you spend another penny, you might want to watch this entire video, because that ordinary coin in your pocket might not be ordinary at all. The story begins with the famous Lincoln penny itself. The Lincoln cent first appeared in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was the first regular circulating American coin to feature a real historical figure instead of the symbolic Lady Liberty. For decades, this humble coin has been part of everyday American life. It jingles in jars, hides in couch cushions, and fills piggy banks across the country. But within the billions of Lincoln pennies produced over the years, a few rare ones have become legendary among collectors, and the 1992 penny is one of those legends. Now here is something important to understand. In 1992 the United States Mint produced billions of pennies. Most of them are only worth exactly 1 cent, but a very small number were struck with a subtle design difference that collectors call the closed AM variety. And this tiny detail changed everything. To understand this, you need to look at the back of the coin. On the reverse side of the penny you will see the words United States of America. Look closely at the letters A and M in the word America. On most 1992 pennies, the A and M have a noticeable gap between them. This is called the wide AM design. But on a few rare coins, the A and M are extremely close together. This design was not supposed to appear on circulation coins in 1992. It was meant for proof coins produced for collectors. Somehow a proof-style reverse die was mistakenly used during regular production. That mistake created one of the rarest Lincoln penny varieties ever discovered, the closed AM 1992 penny. And when that rare reverse appeared on a coin from the Denver Mint, identified by the tiny letter D under the date, collectors suddenly had something extraordinary. The 1992 close AM penny. Only a handful have ever been discovered, which is why the value can reach incredible heights. Collectors have paid enormous amounts for verified examples, especially when they are in high condition. Top-graded specimens have been estimated to reach values approaching $1.2 million depending on rarity, demand, and condition. Not bad for a coin originally worth 1 cent. Now let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago I was going through an old jar of coins that had been sitting on a shelf for years. You know the kind. The random jar where pennies, nickels, and dimes go to retire. I dumped the whole thing on the table and started sorting through them just out of curiosity. And suddenly I realized something. Coins are like lottery tickets. Most of them are nothing special, but every once in a while you find something surprising. Now, sadly, I did not find $1 million penny that day. But I did discover a wheat penny from the 1940s hiding in the pile. That tiny discovery was enough to send me down the rabbit hole of coin collecting. And once you start paying attention to your coins, it becomes a treasure hunt. Which brings us back to the 1992 penny. Under the date you should see the letter D, which indicates the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Step 3 is the most important part. Flip the coin over and look at the word America. If the A and M are nearly touching with almost no space between them, you may have the rare closed AM variety. But that is not the only detail collectors examine. They also look at the position of the initials FG near the base of the Lincoln Memorial. These initials belong to the coin designer Frank Gasparo. On genuine closed AM examples, the FG initials are positioned very close to the building. These small clues help experts verify the coin. Because when a coin could be worth hundreds of thousands or even over $1 million, authentication matters. Professional grading companies carefully examine these coins under magnification to confirm the variety and assign a grade. Based on condition. The better the condition, the more valuable the coin becomes. A heavily worn example might still be worth a fortune compared to face value. But a nearly perfect specimen can command jaw-dropping prices. Which is why collectors treat these coins like tiny works of art. Now you might be wondering something. If this coin is so rare, how could it possibly still be in circulation? Well, that is the fascinating part. Many people do not check their coins carefully. pennies are often ignored, spent quickly, or tossed into jars, which means rare varieties sometimes slip through unnoticed for years. Some of the most valuable coins ever discovered were found in pocket change. Imagine finding a coin worth $1.2 million in your couch cushions. Talk about the best cleaning day ever. Of course, not every 1992 penny is valuable. The vast majority are the normal wide AM variety. But the thrill comes from the possibility. Because somewhere out there, the rare one could still be waiting. Or even in your pocket right now. Coin collecting experts often recommend checking coins from everyday transactions. Look through rolls from banks. Sort through old piggy banks. Search coin jars from relatives. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. And even if you do not find the famous close AM penny, you might still discover other interesting coins. Older wheat pennies. Some stories just happen to be worth a lot more money than others. Another interesting aspect of the 1992 close AM penny is how long it took collectors to notice it. For years these coins circulated quietly without anyone realizing how rare they were. Then sharp-eyed collectors began spotting the unusual letter spacing. Once the discovery spread through the numismatic community, excitement exploded. Collectors started searching everywhere. Coin dealers examined inventory. Roll hunters checked thousands of pennies. And suddenly the humble 1992 penny became one of the most talked about coins in modern collecting. It just goes to show how the smallest design detail can change history. Now here is a fun challenge you can try at home. Grab a handful of pennies and line them up on a table. Flip them over and examine the lettering. It might sound simple, but that is exactly how many valuable coins are discovered. Maybe one day you will spot that famous close AM spacing staring back at you. If that happens, congratulations. You might want to sit down, because that little penny could change your life. So, here is the big takeaway from today's story. The 1992 Lincoln penny might look like ordinary pocket change, but a rare version with the close AM design can be worth an astonishing amount of money. Up to $1.2 million in top condition. All because of a tiny spacing difference between two letters. It is a reminder that treasure does not always look like treasure. So before you ignore that jar of pennies sitting on your shelf, you might want to take another look, because the next life-changing discovery could be hiding right there. And if you enjoy learning about rare coins, valuable pennies, and hidden treasures hiding in everyday pocket change, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We explore the coins that collectors are hunting for, the mistakes that make coins valuable, and the simple strategies that can help you spot coins worth serious money. Imagine buying a cup of coffee, getting a few coins back in change, and unknowingly holding something that could change your life forever. It sounds like the start of a Hollywood movie, but for some coin collectors, it's very real. Because somewhere out there, hiding in jars, piggy banks, couch cushions, and pocket change, there may be a tiny copper coin worth up to $1.3 million. It's a modern coin that many people have already spent without thinking twice. Today we're talking about the 2006 Abraham Lincoln penny. A coin that most people overlook, but under the right circumstances could turn into an incredible payday. In this video we'll explore what makes this penny special, why collectors hunt for the rare errors that make it valuable, how one small detail could skyrocket its price, and how you can check your own pocket change for hidden treasure. And trust me, by the end of this video, you may never look at pennies the same way again. So grab your coin jar, sit back, and let's dive into the fascinating story of the 2006 Lincoln penny. The coin we're discussing features one of the most recognizable faces in American history, President Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln cent has been produced since 1909 and remains one of the most collected coins in the United States. The 2006 penny belongs to the modern Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 through 2008. On the front of the coin you'll see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Above his head is the word Liberty. On the right side is the year 2006. And just below the date sits a small but very important letter. That tiny letter tells us the coin was minted in Denver at the United States Mint facility. Millions of these coins were produced. In fact, more than 4 billion 2006 pennies were struck. So at first glance it might seem impossible that any of them could be valuable. Well, Here's where things get interesting. In the world of coin collecting, rarity doesn't always come from low production numbers. Sometimes rarity comes from mistakes. And those mistakes are what collectors absolutely love. Before we dive into the valuable errors, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out an old desk drawer that had been collecting junk for years. You know the type of drawer: rubber bands, old batteries, paper clips, mysterious keys that open absolutely nothing. And at the bottom of the drawer, I found a handful of pennies. Most people would toss them into a jar without a second thought. But curiosity got the best of me. So I started checking the dates. Suddenly I realized something. Even ordinary coins can tell fascinating stories. And occasionally, very occasionally, one of them can be worth a lot more than a single cent. Now let's talk about what makes the 2060 Lincoln penny potentially valuable. The first thing collectors look for is condition. Condition is everything in the coin world. Coins that have circulated for years become scratched, dull, and worn down. But coins that remain in pristine condition can be worth far more. Collectors use a grading scale that goes from poor condition all the way up to perfect mint state. A coin graded mint state 67 or higher is considered extremely well preserved. If a 2060 Lincoln penny exists in flawless condition, collectors may pay huge premiums for it. Now let's talk about the real excitement. These errors happen during the coin production process when something goes slightly wrong. Instead of being destroyed, some of these flawed coins slip through quality control and enter circulation. When collectors discover them, they become extremely desirable. One of the most famous types of coin errors is called a double die. A double die occurs when the coin's design is stamped twice slightly out of alignment. This can create a noticeable doubling effect on letters or numbers. Collectors carefully inspect words like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date. Another exciting error is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly positioned when struck by the dies. Part of the design appears missing while another portion looks stretched or shifted. Off-center coins can be extremely collectible depending on how dramatic the error is. Then there's the broad strike error. This happens when the coin is struck without the collar that normally holds it in place. The result is a coin that looks wider and slightly flattened around the edges. Collectors also look for die cracks. A die crack appears when the minting die begins to break after repeated use. This creates raised lines or unusual shapes on the finished coin. Some collectors even specialize in these strange imperfections. Another possibility is a rotated die error. Normally, the front and back of a coin align perfectly, but sometimes the dies rotate during production, creating coins where the back appears tilted or upside down when flipped. Believe it or not, these small mistakes can make a coin far more valuable. Now let's address the big question. How could a 2060 Lincoln penny be worth up to $1.3 million? The answer lies in a perfect storm of factors. First, the coin would need to have an extremely rare error. Second, it would need to be preserved in extraordinary condition. And third, collectors would need to compete for ownership. Coin auctions can become very competitive. When two collectors both want the same rare coin, the bidding can escalate quickly. Prices climb higher and higher until one collector finally wins, and sometimes that winning bid reaches astonishing numbers. Now here's something important to remember. Not every 2060 penny will be worth thousands or millions. Most are still worth exactly 1 cent, but the thrill of coin collecting comes from the possibility, that tiny chance that an ordinary coin might actually be something extraordinary. Let's talk about how you can check your own coins. Step 1 is simple. Look at the date. Make sure it reads 2006. Check for the D mint mark under the date. That indicates the coin was minted in Denver. Examine the coin carefully. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe if possible. Look for doubling on letters or numbers. Look for unusual shapes, cracks, or misaligned designs. Check the coin's condition. If the coin still looks shiny and sharp, it could be in higher grade condition. If you think you found something unusual, consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. Professional grading companies authenticate coins and assign official grades. These grades help determine the coin's value in the collector market. Never clean a coin. It might seem logical to polish a coin to make it look nicer, But cleaning actually reduces a coin's value dramatically. Collectors prefer coins in their original condition. Cleaning removes natural surfaces and leaves scratches that experts can easily detect. Another fun part of coin collecting is the treasure hunt. Think about all the places coins hide, even the change you get at the grocery store. Every coin has the potential to be part of a discovery story, and sometimes those discoveries make headlines. Imagine the excitement of realizing a coin in your hand could be worth thousands or even millions. That moment when curiosity turns into a real treasure. It's one of the reasons coin collecting has fascinated people for generations. The 2060 Abraham Lincoln penny may look ordinary at first glance. But under the right circumstances, it could become a coin collector's dream, and strong demand from collectors can transform a 1-cent coin into a valuable collectible. And the most exciting part is that these coins might still be hiding in everyday circulation. We are talking about a coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought. It passed through grocery store cash registers, rattled around in pockets, and probably spent years forgotten inside piggy banks. The 1984 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like just another ordinary penny. In fact, billions were made. But hidden among those billions are a few rare versions that collectors go absolutely crazy for. Some of these coins have sold for astonishing prices, and in pristine condition the market value can climb as high as $1.4 million. Yes, a penny. Worth more than a mansion in some cities. In this video we are diving deep into the secrets of the 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. We will talk about its history, the rare era that made it famous, how collectors identify it, and why some examples have skyrocketed in value. And somewhere along the way, I will also share a personal story about the day I almost ignored a coin that turned out to be surprisingly valuable. So before you toss your spare change into a parking meter, grab those pennies and take a closer look. Because by the end of this video, you might see that little copper coin very differently. The Lincoln penny has been part of American life for more than a century. It was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. Before that, American coins rarely featured real historical figures. The man responsible for Lincoln's portrait was the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner. His design showed Lincoln's calm, thoughtful profile, and it quickly became one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. For generations, people have carried Lincoln pennies in their pockets without ever thinking much about them. But collectors look at pennies very differently. To them, every tiny detail matters. The year, the mint mark, the condition, and most importantly the errors, because sometimes the US Mint accidentally creates coins with small mistakes. Those mistakes might be tiny to most people, but to collectors they are like hidden treasure. And the 1984 penny is a perfect example. Now here is where things get interesting. In 1984, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies. Most of them were completely normal. These ordinary pennies are still worth exactly 1 cent today. But a small number were struck with a dramatic and fascinating error known as the double-eared dot. If you have never heard that phrase before, you are not alone. The first time I heard it, I imagined a coin with 2 ears sticking out like a cartoon character. The reality is a little more subtle, but still amazing. On some 1984 Lincoln pennies, Lincoln's ear appears doubled. When you look closely, you can see a second outline or shadow around the ear. It looks almost like Lincoln suddenly grew an extra ear overnight. This happened because of a mistake during the die creation process at the mint. The design was accidentally impressed twice at slightly different angles. When that die was used to strike coins, it created the doubled effect. And collectors absolutely love this kind of error, because errors are rare. And rarity creates demand. Imagine 2 jars of pennies. One jar contains ordinary coins that everyone has seen 1,000 times. The other jar contains a coin with a strange and fascinating error that only a few people own. That is why the 1984 double-ear penny has become legendary among collectors. But here is the twist. Not every 1984 penny has this error. In fact, most do not. So if you want to check your own coins, here is what you need to look for. First, check the year. It must say 1984. Next, look under the date. If there is no mint mark, That means the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Those are the coins collectors usually refer to as the 1984 no-mint mark penny. Then comes the most important step. Look closely at Lincoln's ear. You may need a magnifying glass, a coin loop, or even your phone's camera zoom. When collectors examine coins, they often use magnification because the details are extremely small. If the ear looks normal, with a single clean outline, you probably have a standard penny. But if you notice a clear doubling effect around the ear, congratulations. You might be holding one of the famous doubled ear varieties. And this is where values start to climb. A typical worn 1984 doubled ear penny might sell for a few $100s. A high-grade example in excellent condition could reach several $1,000s. And in the rarest, most pristine condition graded by professional coin grading services, the value can climb dramatically. Some collectors estimate that the finest known examples could reach market values approaching $1.4 million if the right buyer appears at the right auction. That kind of price sounds unbelievable, but it shows how powerful rarity and demand can be in the coin world. Now let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was helping a relative clean out an old garage. You know, the kind of garage where every shelf has boxes that have not been opened since the early 1990s. While sorting through the mess, we found a dusty coffee tin full of coins. At first I almost ignored it. It was heavy, sticky, and looked like it had survived 3 decades of spilled soda and motor oil. But curiosity got the best of me. So I dumped the coins onto a table and started looking through them. Most were ordinary pennies, nickels, and quarters. Then I spotted a Lincoln penny that looked a little strange. I grabbed a magnifying glass and took a closer look. There it was. A small doubling around Lincoln's ear. Now, before you imagine fireworks and dramatic music, let me be honest. It was not $1 million coin, but it still sold to a collector for several $100s. That coin had been sitting in a coffee tin for years, completely unnoticed. That moment taught me something important. Treasure does not always come from pirate ships or ancient ruins. Sometimes it hides in everyday places. A jar, a drawer, a forgotten piggy bank, and that is exactly why people love searching through coins. Now let's talk about another factor that affects the value of the 1984 penny. In the coin collecting world, condition is everything. Collectors use a grading scale that ranges from poor condition all the way to perfect mint state. A penny that has been heavily circulated might have scratches, faded details, and worn surfaces. Those coins are still collectible, but they are not worth nearly as much. On the other hand, a coin that has been carefully preserved can look almost brand new even decades later. These coins often come from mint rolls or collections where they were protected from damage. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC examine coins carefully and assign them a grade. That grade can dramatically affect the price. A coin graded MS65 or higher can be worth many times more than the same coin in average condition. That is why collectors handle coins carefully and often store them in protective holders. And here is a funny tip. If you ever find a coin that looks valuable, resist the urge to clean it. Cleaning might make the coin look shiny, but it can actually reduce its value significantly. Collectors prefer coins in their original state, even if they look slightly toned or aged. So if you discover a suspicious-looking 1984 penny, the best thing to do is leave it exactly as you found it. Now you might be wondering something. The answer is simple. Billions of pennies were minted in 1984, and many are still circulating. Most people never examine their coins closely. They spend them without a second thought. But occasionally, someone who knows what to look for spots something unusual. And that is how new discoveries happen. Imagine buying a cup of coffee, getting a few pennies in change, and suddenly realizing one of them could be worth thousands of dollars. That is the dream that keeps collectors searching. And honestly, it is a pretty fun hobby. You do not need expensive equipment. You do not need a treasure map. All you need is curiosity and a handful of coins. Every penny has a story. Every coin has a journey. And once in a while, one of those journeys leads straight to a collector willing to pay a fortune. The 1984 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny might look ordinary, but a rare variety with the doubled ear error has become one of the most talked about modern Lincoln cent errors. While most examples are worth only a small amount, Rare high-grade versions can reach astonishing values, with some estimates reaching up to $1.4 million in the right collector market. The key things to check are the date, the absence of a mint mark, and the doubling around Lincoln's ear. And remember, valuable coins do not always appear in fancy collections. Sometimes they hide in pocket change, coin jars, or dusty boxes that have not been opened in decades.